Welcome back, guys. Today, hot topic is insurance. Should you get it for your off-grid cabins and properties? Let's go for a hike in the woods and talk about it. It is a glorious day in the woods today. I can hear the swans, the geese, and also I can see some morning cloak butterflies. They overwinter here in Ontario, and I think they roll themselves up in the leaves and they freeze and they come back to life in the spring. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I know they overwinter, and so that's why you'll see some of them flitting around the woods this time of year. And so important, guys, not to clean up your gardens at the cabin or cottage or at home just now. The bees and the butterflies, the very first flowers that come up for the year, some of the little things, they need that to survive. And I just wouldn't touch your garden now for a little while. Kind of got my eye peeled today for antler sheds. Kind of the time of year to find them, where the deer have been kind of congregating for the winter. No luck yet. I've yet to find an antler shed in the wild. Hopefully, life goals, I will find one. But let's be real, this guy's probably going to find it for me first. I'm going to have to shave him down soon. He is gets really overheated on these hikes, so he just likes to roll around in the remaining snow. And there's some fresh deer sign. So they're definitely coming out of the yards. I'm seeing more and more tracks in the remaining snow. So the deer in this area, they like to hang out in what they call deer yards. So areas where there's a lot of forest cover, like cedars and stuff like that. They'll hang out there for the winter, and then they'll start moving around the woods basically this time of year to get ready to have their babies and stuff like that. So still got my eyes out for the shed. Nothing found yet. So as you guys know, I got this property back in 2013. I bought it with the help of a bank, and that was a little bit of a crazy endeavor. There's some major issues with that. You can check out some of my previous videos for that interesting discussion. But one really important thing that I found out is when you're buying off-grid property, you've got a cottage on there or whatnot, and there is a mortgage involved, or some kind of payment plan you have organized with the bank, as it were in my case. Basically, you need to have insurance, and they want to have that on there. So at the time, there was no cabin on the property, but I was forced to get insurance. Now, I know a lot of people don't have insurance and just say, oh, well, just save up if something bad happened. But that can be a lot of money if your cabin gets destroyed, or God forbid, you get sued because somebody was on your property and hurt themselves and had a little bit of a litigious nature to themselves. So I think it's pretty important to have insurance. So although I was pretty upset that I had to get it when I bought the property, I'm pretty glad I have it now. So let's backtrack a bit. So I'm getting the property. I'm super pumped. I find out I have to get insurance. So what do? So what I did was what any person would do is, look at the insurance companies that you already have. Like if you have a house, consider insuring it under the policy that you have currently as a sort of a secondary property or a secondary home, cottage, whatever. But at that time I was renting. I did not have an insurance policy on house. I mean, I barely had even renter's insurance. I don't even think I had that at the time. So what I did is I contacted the only insurance company I'd ever dealt with, and that was the one that insures my vehicle. So that policy, I've been with that company for 20 years at that point. So I thought, oh, got good rapport, they're great. So I give them a call. So I give them a call, and you have to talk to them about the property, where it's located, the size of it, obviously I think it's use, if it's commercial or not. And also another important thing was there any fencing on the property, indicating, that it was your property, and making sure signs are up for like no trespassing and stuff like that. And also the closest proximity to a fire department, which out here, really not very close to that. So that is also something that you need to consider that will affect your insurance. So after that insurance company crunched the numbers, they got back to me, and let me tell you, this insurance company was not anywhere near where my cabin was located. I'll just say that. It was an area where I used to live, sort of near a major metropolis, or actually was a major metropolis, and but they had no familiarity with the area at all. So anyway, the quote I get was absolutely horrendous. It was like thousands of dollars a year to insure this property. I was, what? I was absolutely shocked out of my mind. This was for, liability insurance basically, and replacement of the cabin should there be some kind of disaster that happens to it. I was floored. I could not believe the cost and the quote. Whoops, falling in the snow here. I could not believe the cost of the insurance in a year, and I started panicking because I'm thinking, I cannot afford this property the insurance alone is awful. So I don't know. I really started freaking out, and I forget what sort of changed my thought. I basically said to Lee, okay, I'll have to call you back on that one. I'm really not sure. This is for me. I got to do a little bit more research. Now, I suppose some folks would have been like, okay, I guess that's what it is. You know, insurance companies, how different can they be between different jurisdictions? And it's the same property, right? So, I found out the hard way that basically it does make a huge difference. The other year with our car, for example, one of the insurance companies really jacked up the price on our monthly premiums, and so I spent forever phoning around, and I actually found a really good insurance company that actually brought the price back down for us. So there is a huge difference, guys. So really, really important. So I figure, okay, let's just try somebody else, and basically I had some advice to call an insurance company, in this region. So it's, they know the area. Let's just see. They know what they use. It's like a bush property. They know a little bit better about what's going on. So anyways, I cold call this insurance company in the region, and I get a really, really nice individual. And man, they are super helpful. And I explain, what the property's for and its size, proximity to no fire department. At that time, we didn't have a cabin, but just the property, and I wanted liability insurance because that's what the bank required from me. So this individual put together a quote. It took a few days to get back to me, and I was really nervous. I'm thinking at this point, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to say I can't take this property to the bank because I can't properly insure it. So the individual got back to me, and the price was so much better. It was a really, really, really reasonable price. Ended up going through kind of like a farmer's co-op type insurance, and so really great prices with great familiarity with rural properties. So very, very key, guys. If you have a rural off-grid property, super important. Don't just go with the first quote you get, and make sure you go with an insurance company that knows the region well. Quite often you will end up with a far better deal, and they really understand what your insurance needs are. So basically, the property, we had to get insured for liability, obviously, that was required. And then as things went on in the future, the cabin got insured, basically for replacement. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, basically, if you think about it, you can see all the trees here above the cabin, and God forbid one of those fall down on top, so that could cause some major damage, and really, really, really expensive to replace all that hard work. So that's what it's insured for. Also, in a lot of these kinds of insurance policies, there's definitely stuff for liability if someone was to injure themselves on the property. Sometimes there's flood issues and other sort of landscape-based problems that you could get. So that you'll have to talk with your insurance agent about that. But there's other clauses that we have on the insurance policy for that. Also, things like wind damage, vandalism is another important one. Some people live in areas where there's high vandalism of cabins, unfortunately. So you can get that on your policy. Fire insurance. One important thing though, you guys know I have a propane stove, and I got a quote for putting in a wood stove or a propane heater in the cabin, and it is cheaper for your insurance to have propane. So that is something to consider as well. I know a lot of people love wood stoves, but it will add to your insurance costs for sure. So it's another thing to consider. Your heating source. You can, if you're still in the process of building your cabin and you want to have propane heat, that's actually going to save you some money on the insurance. So a little cautionary tale. I heard of some rural property owners having people trespass on the property, for example, to hunt, which is, you're not allowed to do that. You have to get a letter of permission from the property owner to enter the property and hunt. Anyway, this person trespassed, tripped on a log and broke their leg, and then decided to sue the property owner for negligence in not tidying up the woods enough. So, and that had to go to court. So, kind of unbelievable that I actually made it to court with someone trespassing like that. But that's what insurance is for. So I know some people don't believe in having insurance, and it is a lot of money. But my message here today is to shop around, do a lot of shopping around, take your time with it, and stick within the region of where your property, cottage, cabin is. You'll get a far better deal. And, think about a lot in terms of what you want covered. Do you want just the liability? Do you want your cottage or cabin covered, for things like vandalism, fire, wind damage? Do you want content coverage as well? So all things really important to think about, and just think about what's in the budget. I know this is probably a 1 in 100-year problem that you may end up having, but I think it is worthwhile. And that brings me to an important point, is to make sure that you have your property boundaries marked off with a do not trespass sign. Some of them have a spot to put your phone numbers, so that if someone did want to hunt on your property and need to get in contact with you, that they can get in contact with you. So super important. Well, I hope today's discussion made you think a little bit about insuring your off-grid properties and cabins. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave them down below in the comments, and we'll see you again in the next video. Have a great week. Take care.